Welcome to OptionsBrewTV. I am your host, Lex, and guess who I have with me today? Mr. Rob Booker from Lightning Stocks.
How are you, Lex? How's it going?
Good to see you. And wait, are you doing the Pizza Hut on the side?
Yeah, I just tell people that I own a bunch of Pizza Huts, and then it seems, then it goes from being like he's a slob, then it goes to he's a millionaire. So I just like, and the real answer is don't worry about what I'm wearing. Like, don't worry about it.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I wish I owned a bunch of Pizza Huts. You kidding me?
I do too. Right.
I love it. So I'm going to tee this up for you. So you and I know each other going back a good bit here. We did some seminars and summits together back in the day, probably a few years now, right? 5-7 years, something like that in Chicagoland. And I think you took some time off for a little bit and now you're back at it. I'm glad we connected. So let's first tell us, what's been going on and what you're doing now. I know it's an interesting story because I love what you're doing.
So I've been trading for about 21, 22 years now.
Yep.
I started in the currency markets. I did that for 13 years. Then I switched over to trading some stocks. And then about 4 years ago, I sold my YouTube channel and my radio show and my podcast. And I went to work as like an analyst inside a big publishing company. And then I like dropped a rope outside one of the windows and in the middle of the night snuck out. Outside of a big company, like everybody's here that's watching is probably like trading for the purpose of having some freedom.
Right.
And I realized it's like, wow, like this is real. I like doing this solo. Like, thank you very much, everybody. Good night and good luck. I'm going to go out the back window.
Right.
And then I took a few months off and just recently, I never stopped trading and just kind of said, when I get back into all of this stuff, as you and I have been talking about, I want to build my own little application for trading one thing in one way and just take one trade a day, maybe two, if the first one doesn't work out or whatever. Sure. And then I want to just, do whatever. So I bought a house in the country. I mow my lawn. I watch Rick and Morty and I trade some stock. I trade some options and really just only trading options now. So it's like all the way from, the early days of the Wild West of Forex. And then I feel like I'm on the other side of that because options are it's just so wild right now. I don't know why it took me so long to do this, first of all.
Well, I mean, I always said, I come from the market making world and everyone says, oh man, you must have gotten killed today. The market's down 800 points. I'm like, no, that's not how options work for us. We love chaos. Options traders like chaos and mispricings because that's an advantage to us, right? It's an opportunity.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because until you just said, I mean, I did see the headline flash on my phone that the Dow was down 850 points or whatever. It just never occurs to me, like that doesn't even kind of factor in really to what I'm thinking about. Maybe it should. I don't know. I feel like the dumber I am, the better I do, and that's why I'm like, this already. I've been talking to you about this for a while, but for those of us listening, like trading for me over the last 21 years is the process of doing well, then complicating stuff,
right, and
then losing money, and then simplifying it, making money,
right,
and then complicating it because I get excited. So I've kind of settled on like I'm 51 now, so I got probably another couple of years of life left or whatever. I got a couple more years. And I'm like, I'm not wasting any more time on the BS. I'm just going to build one really simple kind of app. And you guys make that super easy.
Good.
And I've been wanting to do this for a long time so that I can just do the one thing I want to do. It's right in front of me. And all the other stuff, like success for me in this industry has been about elimination. I think Bruce Lee said it is like success or victory is about eliminating stuff, not adding stuff.
Yeah,
still 1,000 kicks, whatever that whole quote is. But
yeah,
so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I find that like the dumber I am, like, oh, someone said, oh, did you see the market was down? I'm like, listen, I don't really care. Honestly, I don't care. I care about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't look at the rest of the league. I care about the New York Yankees. I don't care about the rest of baseball.
Right.
And I just find that I don't have time. I don't want to lose money anymore, ever, at all. So
sure. So you've built this application app called it's called Lightning Stocks. Is that right?
Yeah. So I built a website which will turn into the app. And it's lightningstocks.io. And I launched it with, so I have like over the years from the radio show and the YouTube channel,
Right.
I have like 3 people who are super loyal and dedicated.
Sure.
It's like not 3, it's more like 7. I don't want to brag though.
Right.
But about 150 of us are sort of all trading together inside of a room right now.
Okay.
As I build this app, which has in some ways been easier to do and more complicated at the same time. But and we're just this one thing. So, and I'd be happy to share all of that with you and show you what I do.
Sure.
But yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. Is I trade better in a group. I trade better when everything that I do is transparent and public.
Perfect.
There's just something about being watched and depended on, or like verified, or whatever that is.
Right.
Super embarrassing when things go wrong, of course.
Oh yeah, well that happens. That's the trading world. So let's do this. I want you to show us this, but first, I'm assuming this is going to be a commercial product, meaning you're connecting with us at Tradier. You're going to offer this product to the world. You're not doing this for free. We totally get it. There's going to be some sort of revenue model built into this, and the idea is to bring a community of folks together so that they can either follow what you're doing or learn from you. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's the idea. I'm going to build something. It may be free, actually. It may actually end up being free.
Okay.
And sort of like, this works for me. It won't work for everybody. It's not for everybody. But if you have a trading account and you do better when you simplify things, then I think we're on the same page. And I'm sort of like, I can say it in 2 sentences, and then we can look at some charts and some stuff.
Let's do that.
But, that's kind of what I'm doing. Is I trade almost every day, but all I'm really doing is I'm trading this Friday's expiration, and that's all I want to see. I don't need to see 27 options chains, and I don't need to see 300 stocks, and I don't need to see the market the quantitative gamma delta of the whatever. I just want to see this week's Friday expiration. I want to see strike prices that are slightly out of the money, 10% out of the money.
Okay.
And then I want to look at like a total of 5 stocks total on a regular basis, with maybe one swapped out every 2 weeks or so. That's it.
Wow.
That's the whole thing. And so imagine, like, instead of your brokerage account that has options chains all over the place and indicators flying all over your screen, and people offering like, hey, I'll sell you this Thinkorswim indicator, which you can also find for free. I'll sell it to you for $1 million or whatever. Like all of that, BS. I just like, if anybody and so I have like 150 people that I've been trading with for a long, long time.
Nice.
And we're just trading the strategy now. Mm-hmm. And then that app, all it is just the options chain for this Friday's expiration, just the strikes that are a couple bucks out of the money.
Yep.
And that's it. Like that's the whole thing.
Unreal. Okay. And then is this a day trading mechanism, or is it a swing trading mechanism? I mean, it can't be too swing because it's a week long, it's going to die in a week. So
yeah, it's like a 24-hour trading thing. I tend to, I like, the Steve Miller Band method of trading is like, take the money and run, like you could just play that. If I ever had a radio show again, that would be the music. Would just take the money and run. And
love it.
So I tend to miss out on like half of the potential profit because I don't hold stuff overnight, and I would prefer not to. Got it. Okay. But I would say like 50 or so of the people that I've been trading with for a long time, they're still subject to the pattern day trader rule, and they don't care. They'll just hold it overnight and they're fine. So I gotcha. Yeah, there's other things you can do within the confines of the rules, right? So cash accounts work too, with settled funds. Yep, exactly. That's true. That's it's funny you say that. Like I've been trading for 20 years, and I found out about that like 2 years ago. I know, right? Well, guess what? I found about it 2 years ago too. So I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept. I didn't know that was available. I think I told you I'm stupid. Like I still don't really know what portfolio margin is or whatever. I don't even know what that is, and I don't know. Like, you don't need it for day trading. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't even care about it. So it's a real simplified method of saying, listen, do whatever you want. And it was born out of one other project that I have going on, which is I built an app for iPhone and Android, which I think launches next week.
Oh, okay.
And you pop open the app and all it shows you is a stock symbol.
Oh,
That's it. Like every day at 7:30 Central Time, like a stock symbol shows up, and that's the stock of the day. If you want to day trade a stock,
oh,
there's there's going to be a button for trader. Like you click on the bottom of the thing,
and you trade it.
link it to your trader account, and just trade that one stock. Like that's it. And there's a fact page that says how far might it move and what's the cutoff time. But that's it. That's the whole thing. Like that's the most successful service I ever ran when I was like in the business. Was
right.
It was just one stock a day. That was it. That was the whole thing.
Okay.
So it was all like, and now I do that kind of with options, and I like the options better because there's just so much more. The stock might move 10% and then the options move 50% or
right.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Okay. Do you want to, should we share the screen? Are you going to show us?
Let's do it.
Let me get this. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh man, like I didn't even have to do anything.
No, look at that. So I think we're looking at some charts here. Looks like about 4 of these babies, right?
Yeah. So do you work for the NSA? Did you get my charts? Like, what did you do? Did you
Yes,
log into my computer?
I did. I pulled those right in. Is that amazing?
Well, I'm sitting in the back of a Pizza Hut right now, and they don't know that I'm doing. No. All right. So here's what I do. I love TradingView charts. And so I'll just kind of walk through what I look at. These are some pretty. I could show you actually a couple days worth of trades and examples.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just start it off. So all I have is I have a 5-minute or a 15-minute chart. Either one's fine. The 15-minute is kind of overkill. I don't really need to do that.
Sure.
And so I'll look at that. I'll look at the 4-hour chart, and I'll get to that in a second, but you can almost ignore that. On the right-hand side, I've got my Heinz 57 list of stocks or whatever. Yeah. And these are stocks that I just like because there's a gargantuan amount of liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of volatility or stability, depending on what kind of thing I want. So I have Bed Bath & Beyond, meme stock. It's all over the place. It's a worthless company. The expected value of Bed Bath & Beyond 12 months out is, negative $1.
Oh, so you're a big bear on this one, huh?
Yeah. So I kind of come into the picture with a few things that I'm bearish on and a few things that I'm bullish on. And it's not really that difficult to figure out. Like I look for meme stocks that have been on a really big run up. So when Bed Bath & Beyond jumped, it just immediately went onto the radar. If GameStop or AMC make another run upward, I'll swap this one out and I'll choose that one. But so it's not a huge amount of fundamental analysis. It's just common sense. Like, So what I'm going to do is I just pop up the volume weighted average price. That's an indicator in TradingView, which is you type in, volume weighted average price. That's it. So that just puts a line in the middle and a band around your stock.
Okay.
And I'm looking for, if I'm bearish on the stock, which for obvious reasons, I'm bearish on the stock. And I know that the meme stock Wall Street Bets army can try to obliterate me. I know that. I don't fight the up days. I don't fight those days. I'll just stop out and it doesn't matter. But typically what a meme stock will do is it will go to the moon and then everybody will move on to something else. And then the bag holders will be left with it. And then, the other meme stock people will just move on to another financial instrument. So we're way past Bed Bath & Beyond being on the forefront of anybody's meme stock screens.
Got it.
And I'm just looking for it. This is pre-market over here to the left. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the stock to, at the open, jump and test the volume weighted average price. And I wish I could make this sound more complicated.
Yep.
I wish I could. I wish I could sound smarter than I am. But here it is.
So that green
I wait for it to retest that. And then when it's testing this, it pulls back on the very next candle, a 5-minute, doesn't matter if it's 15-minute, I will buy puts. And I'll switch over to the options chain. I'll buy this Friday's, even if it's Thursday, I'll buy tomorrow's. I'll buy Friday's expiration. I'll buy puts that are about $1 out of the money, maybe 50 cents for a $10 stock. So somewhere between, for every $10 the stock is worth, something that's between 50 cents and $1 out of the money.
Let me pull the chain in real quick.
Yeah, that's great. I would love that.
Okay, so here's where we are, just to get your bearing. So in the middle, I think you can see my cursor.
I can.
Strike in the middle, and you said something that's just out of the money. So we have these 8.5 puts and these 8 puts. I guess the 8 puts are 10 cents at 19 cents.
Yeah.
And the higher ones are 36 at 37. Do you see those?
Yeah, that's just brilliant. So I would look for like the 8.5, or the nines are fine too. Like something
Okay.
that's in the money is going to have like a slightly better delta or whatever.
Yep.
So that's fine.
Okay. So any one of those is your idea. You get on those, and God, the markets are nice and tight. They're liquid. Look at all the volume and open interest there.
Yeah. So this is the feature of every single option I'm going to trade. And I call that the lightning stock of the day. It's common sense.
Yep.
I don't have to overthink it. I don't have to like read earnings transcripts, and I don't have to like guess what people are going to do. The company is unfortunately pretty much worthless. They're going through a lot of turmoil.
Yep. Okay, take us back. We're going back to the charts now. You're using different time frames. You said, is there what? And I said you said the 4 hour doesn't really matter. Is there any significance to the different time frames for you?
Yeah. Okay, that's a great question. So, first example, Bed Bath and Beyond. Unfortunately, probably worthless. Of course, I could be wrong, but the propensity of evidence is that it is. I don't need any long term charts for that, and I will on a day where it's a little bit up at the open, I will fade that, especially at the volume weighted average price. Okay. I will fade that. There's a couple other things that we can get into. In fact, I might just do that. I might just show that before we get to the next example about the multi-time frame stuff. I might also, for example, wait until like 10 a.m. Eastern time. If I want to, I will, if it's above the volume weighted average price, after 10 a.m. Eastern time, when that initial euphoria sort of fades and it drops below the volume weighted average price.
Yep.
I could wait till then. Either one is fine. Both of those are techniques that I enjoy using. So that's number one. Number two is, so I do very much enjoy trading Apple and Tesla, for example. And in this case, I might, I do occasionally use the time frames. So Apple, I'm bullish on Apple, but just like Tesla or any other financial instrument that's like a company like this, it will have its occasional real bad day.
Yep.
And that's fine. But generally speaking, Apple is a reasonably well-run business with, revenues and customers and all of that really somewhat important stuff.
And $1 trillion of market cap or something like that.
Exactly. So, Apple had a down day. I don't just knee-jerk reaction buy it on a down day. That I have no interest in this day whatsoever, although I will show you what what I was tempted to do today. What I will do when looking at Apple or Tesla or Amazon in particular, those big ones. I wish I could tell you that I found some obscure company, or Occidental Petroleum. I also really like Occidental Petroleum.
Okay.
I will look at this is just a free version of it's probably a copy of John Carter's squeeze indicator.
Sure.
And you could actually find on Vimeo. I went and interviewed John like the month after he made $1 million on Tesla, like, I don't know, 7 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And he talked to me about the squeeze indicator, and I was like, yeah, sure. Great. And, oh, look at that. That's an alert for a trade. Anyway. So I will look at that squeeze indicator going from bearish to bullish. These little plus signs at the bottom mean it's squeezing. The first green histogram bar for me, that's right here.
Yep.
And it's also like post market. So it's post market on September 12th. Okay. And then the very next day, I will out of the gate on a 15-minute chart. I will either right out of the gate buy Apple calls, which I did, which we all did together, or on that 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 10:45 a.m. pullback on that 15-minute chart, I will buy it on that pullback. And once again, I'm not smart enough to do anything exact. I'm not smart enough to do that. So I'm not claiming that I care if it's 10 a.m. exactly, 10:15, 10:30, 10:45. The closer you get to the volume weighted average price, the better. Okay. And then I will simply just buy, once again, it was 161. I bought the $162 calls So
Mhm.
I just put $1 or so out
Sure.
of the money. I
Okay.
probably could have done something a little bit, braver. I held it for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Everybody else held it for most of the day. And then I like to go to cash. I don't like to hold it overnight.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
for you know, for
Does anyone hold them overnight and do more of a swing trade?
so that's it. So folks in the group that have a smaller account, they will occasionally do that.
Okay.
Um, today was like the CPI. So today
Mhm.
I think a couple people held the trade, but nobody really was interested in holding through the
Right.
CPI. So generally it's like a day trade, especially if there's something coming out tomorrow, like the jobs report or a CPI number or something
Right.
along those lines,
Okay.
or earnings. I'm not going to hold stuff through earnings. I'm not smart enough to figure that stuff out. So,
Got it.
so that was that. And I like, okay, so that was a winner or whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
Now, how do you exit? Is there an exit strategy? So everyone's going to ask that. They're going to be like, "Okay, Rob, you can get in. How do you get out?"
so that's great. So I have very specific things in place because once again, I'm a degenerate gambler and I have to have boundaries and reinforcements around me. So I very publicly say when the option that I bought is up 20 to 30%, I'm going to start pulling out of that trade.
Okay.
If it's up 50%, I'm still in it, I'm an idiot. It's so like I think in the chat room, I think I was in Zoom actually, but there's some people in the chat room here that we traded Tesla together last week,
Right.
and it's like Tiffany, she held on to it and she held Tesla for an extra day, and we can look at that chart, and she made a whole pile of extra money doing that.
Okay.
But I just, to me, it's the Steve Miller Band thing. It's like I made some money.
Yep.
Take the money, take the stupid money, and just get
Right.
another trade tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be anybody else except for myself. And
Gotcha.
a sprint is easier to run than a marathon. I can run and I could stay disciplined for 45 minutes to 4 hours.
Right.
That's it. Like I know my limits. And I think that my limits are very similar to just about every single other degenerate gambler trader in
Wait
the
a minute.
world.
You're way better than I am. I can stay disciplined for like 45 seconds. Are you kidding me?
So we traded Tesla last week. Same thing.
Yeah.
It was on the 7th though.
Okay.
So we traded, near the end of last week, and I'll just jump over here
Yep.
and I'll show I got out of this one as well early. So let's just jump over here.
Okay.
So there's, a lot of the stuff is, so the squeeze fires off or whatever.
Yep. I see that.
September 7th at 11 a.m. That candle closed at 3 p.m. Central Time. So right before the close
Mhm.
on September 7th. That's September 7th, not July. Sorry.
Okay.
I knew something looked odd. So this is an interesting example because it was right before the close, and I got real nervous. Like, oh, I don't want to hold it through the close, even though
Yep.
everything is showing me that the squeeze is firing off. So I waited until the next day, jumped at the open, and immediately pulled back. So the super tech stocks, Nvidia, Tesla, super tech, like the ultra bleeding edge of high tech, the top of the news, the most open interest on options, the most volume, like that kind of those stocks. And there's only a few of them. That'll pull back at almost exactly 10 a.m. Eastern time, almost exactly. The Nvidia, the Teslas, and that was the entry for me. I was like, okay, I wanted to be in yesterday, but I didn't want to hold it through the close. So that's where I bought it. I was out right over here.
Nice.
And I didn't call the top. I just literally, it's now 10:15 Central Time. This is another pullback, 11:15 Eastern Time. That's the pullback time. I know that at that point, I want to go eat a waffle at the Toasted Yolk. I know that I'm going to watch the latest episode of Rick and Morty. I got other stuff.
Right.
I got to mow the lawn. But plus, those are other things in my life that I plan for around that time because I need to be getting out of my trades. I need to, and you can quote me on that. And 7 years from now, when we talk, that's at 11:15 Eastern Time.
Mhm.
That's like this time. Either if I miss the initial trade, I'm waiting then for the pullback and an entry,
Sure.
or I'm getting out of what I'm already in.
Gotcha. No.
Almost every single other person that trades with me rode that out, held on to it. It made me feel sick to my stomach, like I had encouraged them to do something stupid.
Right.
And then a whole bunch of them, like a lot of people, held that through the next morning.
Jeez.
And I didn't. I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't do that. I would love to say that I did. What was for me a reasonably nice gain became for them a really big win.
Yep.
But
yeah, no,
that was for me another, like, so it was trading at 284. I remember I bought the $300 calls. There's a guy, Stacy James. He's a former chef that retired and trades options together with us. And he picked the $300 call. And I honestly, I know it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I admit I don't know what I'm talking about. That sounds fine to me. I'm like, $300, fine. I don't care. If it's around 10% away from current price, that's the strike. I'm fine with that. And sometimes I like the out of the money stuff because those options were like super cheap. They were like $2.15 when I bought them.
Wow.
And for Tesla, like it's a really near-term expiration. So I'm not buying a lot of time, so they're cheap, and they're out of the money, so they're cheap. So this turned out to be a really nice trade for me. And I think I wrote it from $2.15 to, I remember I put it $3 as my profit target. I put it at $3.
Right.
And that was it. I was done.
Let me ask you a question about this. So you said something earlier. So when you get in this trade and it becomes profitable, so let's take your example. You get in at $2, I think you said, and you want to get, or $2.15, and you want to get out at $3. What happens when it's trading $2.55? Do you put a stop in at $2.15 so you're guaranteed not to lose money? I know I'm going to get that question. What about stops? Or do you put the profit target out there and with a stop, like an OCO type order?
So this is so good. I love this question because I enjoy sort of admitting what I do badly and how much it costs me, so that hopefully, like, I try to like, to the extent that I do free stuff and radio shows or podcasts or YouTube stuff, it's to entertain people long enough to convince them to do the right thing. Sure. And a very short story is back during the COVID crash, and then the run up. I thought Wayfair was just as worthless in April as it had been in January. And it wasn't. In fact, people loved Wayfair, and I bought puts on what it turned out to be a pretty worthless, it wasn't really a great company. It was just enjoying the COVID stuff. Well, the fact that I was long-term right didn't make any difference. I lost $22,000 on a trade that I was initially up $1,000. I put $300 into the trade. I was up, $1,000 on it because it initially crashed. And then what I decided to do, instead of closing it, was I 10 times my position size. I just gigantically increased my position size. I mean, I went in so much bigger than usual. Right. And I rode that to a $22,000 loss. And so I let a winner become a loser. Now, I'd love to tell you that I learned my lesson on that day. Since that day, I've probably taken a total of another, probably back and forth over the course of 2 years, probably $15,000 in losses. And every single one of them was a win that I let become a loss. So this, launching this room and trading publicly, it changes everything about the way that I do things, because embarrassment and my foolish vanity, my desire to look smart to people or whatever, I will not let that become a loss. So if I buy at $2.15 and it goes to $2.30, goes to $2.30, I'm not letting that become a loss in front of other people. I won't do it. Because I'm going to show my account to all these people. Sure. And so, like, a month in, I'm gonna show them that what if it fell $50 all of a sudden? It's this public sort of trading in front of people. It forces me to do the right thing, which I otherwise would not do. So I in front of other people, if I'm publicly trading, I will definitely move my stop to break even. I will definitely do that with a actual physical stop. Okay. And I will do an OCO. I will get out of the trade at 3. Yep. And That's what I did today with UVXY.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
actually just put a profit target on the trade, and I walked away.
Well, that
I
makes
just
it
left.
easy, doesn't it, when you do that?
What's that?
You can't second guess yourself when you walk away. The machine will do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. They'll do exactly what you tell them to do.
Amazing, right?
So when I build this program, like this morning, I traded, I spent 22 cents on the September 16th UVXY calls, the $10.50 strike. I love UVXY. The biggest trade I ever took in my life was a bet that the market was going to crash before anybody knew what COVID was. And I had all these 3-month expiration options, call options on UVXY, and I got very lucky.
Right.
And hadn't, never traded again until recently. But this morning, on the CPI news, it pulled back, just like I said, it jumped up, it pulled back to the volume weighted average price. And I bought the $10.50 strike, the September 16th expiration, spent 22 cents. And I started to feel that I'm going to play blackjack here, and then I'm going to go to the Spearmint Rhino, and I'm going to throw $100 bills into the air kind of thing. And I said, oh no, I put a 30-cent profit target on the trade.
Yeah.
And I literally I walked away. I forgot to put a stop. Whatever, but I walked away, and then I got an alert on my phone, that I got taken out. I got the 30 cent. And of course, since then it did this 11 a.m. pullback to the volume weighted average price, which almost everything does. That's another entry. I didn't take it. And then now I bet the September 16th calls are trading for 32, 33 cents at least right now. I don't know what they are, but there's no way I would hold those.
Right. Now, can you, when you said it pulled back again to the volume weighted average, do you do multiple entries when you're in the seat and your feet are glued to the floor?
So Smart Rob, living in a parallel universe, killed Thanos, also trades on the pullback and makes more money. Like Smart Rob. So I don't I'm so gun shy from having done stupid things in the past.
Right.
And I want nice things. So I ordered a car, and I gotta trade to pay for it just because I don't like taking money out of the bank. So I can't lose the money because I have to pick the car up on Saturday. So so I don't take another trade. I'm like, I have this money. I made this money. No one can take it away except for me.
Right.
So I actually shut the room down too. And I was going to mention this about the software too. I know that this isn't a fit for everybody, but the software is just going to lock me out at 11 a.m. Central Time.
But that's your choice. You put that in the profile section and it locks you out.
Yeah, it'll just lock me out. I mean, of course, there's a backup and an emergency unlock it and a 2-factor authentication. Do you really want to do that? But, and you have to, before you get locked out, there's an OCO that goes in.
Yeah.
And it's all this stuff. People feel like restrictions or rules are impediments to freedom. And most of us are trading because we want to be free. But then you realize the more freedom that you sort of give yourself, the worse you can do. And the more boundaries you put around yourself for good, practical, logical reasons, the better you do. And that's really disappointing to people. If everybody was smart, they would just buy stocks and then sell calls.
Right. Exactly.
But no one's smart enough to just do that. So, so if you're not going to do something like that, you got to build, in my opinion, you have to build things around yourself that you can't violate, because you know that those things will save you from yourself on the bad days. And so my worst losses have always come after I'm feeling euphoric because I think I just invented the paperclip and I'm Leonardo DiCaprio on the bow of the Titanic and I'm the king of the world and I can make no mistakes and let's just pound on this. Those are terrible, terrible times. It's just like, we know everybody is probably you can just get on Reddit and you can find some idiot who on his lunch break bought 1 million shares of Bed Bath & Beyond at 20 on the pullback at 20.
Right.
Wrote it up here and said, nah, it's going to 50.
Yeah.
And then down here got a second job delivering pizzas for one of my franchises. That.
Yeah.
everybody knows that story, and we don't like it. We don't like that story, but I know that about myself.
Yep.
So
cool. All right. Well, this is great. So I'm eager for you to get this kind of commercialized. I think what a great offering. And, you've got such a good spirit about it too. I think people will love being in the room and participating.
Yeah. And that's the other part about it. So below all that trading stuff is just a video, like I live stream in the morning. And then below that, or side by side with that, is just the chat box where people harass each other and talk trash.
So is it going to become commercial soon? Can we kind of put a teaser out there?
Yeah. So I would say before the end of the year, it will be live. Like it will be a web page, and then a progressive web app, which means you can just load it on your phone.
Yeah.
But it will be ready. It's meant to really be in a browser, because we want the platform next to the video, next to the chat.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, good. I see our time. Let's we'll stop it there, and we'll do this again sometime. Thanks so much for coming on, man. This was really fascinating. I like simplicity. I will say that. I love it. I
appreciate you very much. I'm really grateful. I have loved working together in the past. And right before I got locked in the tower, we did that great conference together, and I can't wait to do more stuff together in the future.
We are going to do it. We're going to do it for sure. I promise. All right, Rob, thanks for coming on. We'll chat, stick around for afterwards, and we'll sum it up. Okay.
Okay. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye now.